back. We're going to Chris Fuller in the cage.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready for our next bout. Making his way to the cage and fighting out of the red corner, it's Alonzo Dunkentell.
Alonzo Dunkentell, 31 years old, 5'7", 155 pounds, fighting out of Capital MMA. Was victorious in his first bout in CageZilla, and this is his second. Excited to see where he goes from here.
You know, he is an interesting cat. He is a corpsman in the United States Navy, so he has saved the lives of servicemen and women overseas. He's been deployed 3 times. He's 32 years old, and he's a family man. He's got an 8-year-old son and a 16-year-old daughter. Heaven help us. The longest his fights have gone is 44 seconds.
Yeah, you know, he was busy his first fight. He was very active. He put a lot of pressure, and I'll tell you what, he made it happen quick. So I'm excited to see how he does with the guy in Brandon Doyle, who's coming out of a gym in Kaizen MMA that they breed a lot of talent. You know, nobody coming out of Kaizen is an easy time. So it'll be an interesting test for Alonzo Dunkentell.
Yeah, Dunkentell, we were just talking about Capital MMA. You know, some killers over there as well. He's been over there for about 2 years, fighting out of Tacoma, Maryland. And he looks ready.
And his opponent, making his way to the cage and fighting out of the blue corner, it's Brandon Doyle.
Brandon Doyle, his coaches tell me he is a grinder. He won his debut at CageZilla 47. He wrestled at Nebraska. That's a little different from wrestling a lot of other places you could have wrestled. That is a no-joke pedigree. He's a dad. He's got a 1.5-year-old baby girl at home. And both of these fighters have beaten the same fighter, Justin Gonzalez, so we got a good litmus test about it about to happen here in the CageZilla cage for GoSports.com.
Yeah, you know, Brandon Doyle is in equally as good shape as Alonzo Dunkentell. And, you know, he's coming out of with the walking out with Nima Mazhari, Najim Wali, Alex Olavi, a lot of high-level pros, and he's just got so many guys at Kaizen MMA to look
Ahmed
up to.
Kayeti and Samir Fareed. I mean, Ahmed Kayeti, gosh, pick any one of those guys.
You know, funny story. So when Ahmed first came to the U.S., I was actually the first guy to spar with him at Kaizen. I used to train there. And it was probably the worst 3 minutes of my life, I'd say.
Yeah.
Pretty brutal.
As experienced as a guy, I have a friend who fought him, good pro, talented guy. Here comes Ahmed with 100 fights overseas.
Yeah, it's a game changer with that kind of experience.
Doyle's 5'9", he weighs 156. Made weight, he's from Elizabeth City, North Carolina, before he came up here to Fairfax. And this could be a fun one.
Let's throw it up to Chris to see what happens next.
Ladies and gentlemen, this next bout is scheduled for 3 3-minute rounds in the CageZilla lightweight division. Starting out, fighting out of the red corner, standing 5'7" and weighing in at 155 pounds, fighting out of Capital MMA with a record of 1 win and no defeats. It's Alonzo Dunkentell! And his opponent, fighting out of the blue corner, standing 5'9" and weighing in at 155 pounds, fighting out of Kaizen MMA with a record of 1 win and 0 defeats. It's Brandon Doyle! Let's get ladies and gentlemen, this bout is scheduled for 3 3-minute rounds in the CageZilla lightweight division. Your referee is
Michael Dolman in there with 2 cage tigers. This could be a fun one. As Chris Fuller makes his way back to our broadcast position, you know, Charles, one thing about guys who have deployed, and there are plenty of servicemen and women who train and who fight, they're tough to rattle. You know, they've sort of been there, done that.
Well, just like that, you know, as Doyle came in with that hard right hand, big shot landed there again. That hurt Doyle. Alonzo just stayed calm and he countered very well. Sitting in the pocket with MMA gloves is dangerous.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to get comfortable, so it's impressive to see a guy do that twice in a row with only 1 fight under his belt. Alonzo's doing a good job of maintaining the center of the cage and staying in front of Brandon Doyle.
Yeah, just
Big
waiting
right
to drop
landed.
another right hand.
That hurt Brandon. He threw a kick and Alonzo was just all over him. So what's happening now is that Alonzo is encouraging Brandon to throw that first shot, and then when he does, he's getting countered very, very hard. It's very impressive striking from Alonzo.
And it's showing Doyle. Doyle tried to sneak one in and then sort of leave the premises a little bit. Might be an eye poke.
Well, I think it was actually a punch to the eye. Both guys.
Michael Doyle didn't see it. Could have been a punch.
Well, they actually hit each other.
Ooh, open. That was an open hand strike out of Doyle. His fingers were wide on that last hook.
Yeah, he was trying to push him away midway through because, Alonzo just comes forward so hard. It's interesting, though. When you're having the success on the feet, in the amateur levels, typically you find an opening, you want to take advantage. Right now, he's doing really good success with his hands. He's finding ways to land up shots. He's staying calm. I'm pushing off here. I want to make Brandon put the fight on me, and, this is giving him an opportunity to rest.
Yeah, the fight was coming to him, and he was very comfortable having it arrive. But then again, like you said, now he's making Doyle sort of carrying him around a little bit, wearing him down. Great job out of Dunkentell controlling Doyle's hips. And there they go, we're apart.
Brandon did a good job of punching off that. He landed a shot to Alonzo's eye, and you can tell the swelling is starting.
Yeah.
Alonzo's blinking quite a bit, and he's having some trouble seeing out of there. Brandon sees it now. Again, you can't lead with that kick. Punch first, get the hands up, and then throw that body shot.
Absolutely, and start attacking the side where Dunkentell might have a little trouble with his vision.
Well, and if you keep going to that side, then eventually that hand's going to drop and the opening will be there. Tell you what, though, both fighters really respect one another. You can tell they're a little bit hesitant. Their hands are up, and they're not throwing as many kicks now. Good shot from Brandon.
The counter's not landing quite as clean, and beautiful
Drives
pressure
through.
and drive.
Beautiful finish.
Oh,
Excellent. That's the way you want to finish the round.
perfectly timed.
And you saw what happened there. He pushed forward, he got the fight up against the cage, and then he transitioned and finished that takedown. We're going to see it right here.
That was perfectly timed to maybe win him that round.
We're going to go through the walkout.
That was a pretty good walkout. Coach Nima Mizhari over in Doyle's corner was ecstatic at the end of that round.
He was. But that was really good striking from Alonzo to start the fight off. You see here, beautiful counters, staying in the pocket, but this is the big takedown. Brandon just drives through. He gets
Look at his legs are churning.
After he goes up against the cage, he lifts, changes levels, and gets right into half guard as the bell rings, And that's a confidence booster. That lets him know, like, okay, I can do this. The fight might not be going my way on the feet, but I know that when I need to, I can take the fight to the ground.
Now, I didn't see over to Dunkentell's corner. Presumably, Dr. Gore, who's sitting down again, looked at that eye and said, go right ahead, young man.
Yeah, you can tell it's swollen up quite a bit, and it's bothering Brandon a little bit.
Yeah.
And now look for Brandon. It was bothering Alonzo. Now look for Brandon to put the pressure on and get that takedown. Big punches, good pressure.
Yeah, all of Dunkentell's punches are big power punches. He's not really reaching out. He's not feeling with the jab. He's not trying to find his range. Early in the first round, he was just waiting for Doyle to enter it and then punishing it.
I'm just wondering why every time I get a delicious bite of Domino's pizza, the fighters come right in front of us and fight juice starts flying everywhere.
Eating on the job, brother. Alonzo, again, when he takes the center of the cage, see right there? He had so much time to react to that takedown, but Brandon was still able to blast through. And not only did he get through, he's now working his way into half guard. If he could apply some pressure here, we've been talking about this all night, that's a dominant position. Alonzo was able to get full guard, but I don't know. I mean, now there's almost 2 minutes on the clock, and Brandon's on top of him, and this is where the fight really could turn.
Absolutely. It'd be interesting to see what sort of game Dunkentell has from his back. and what sort of game that Doyle has added to his pretty significant wrestling pedigree. Good head pressure, good posture. Stepped over into half.
And now he's got Alonzo flat on his back, which this, if he times it right, can lead to some good ground and pound.
Now, Chris, if you're coaching, would you rather have this situation, if you're Doyle's coach, would you rather have this in the middle, away from the cage?
I'm trying to get over to the cage and try to walk up. Right, Charles?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, you know, if you're Alonzo, you want to get back, you want to get your back and work your way up. Oh, wow, and he was actually able to do that from the middle.
Yeah.
Jay, to your point, anytime you're taken down in the middle of the cage, you have no assistance. You got to do it on your own, and we just saw Alonzo do it.
And we're seeing some blood on Doyle's face.
He ate some hard shots here, and as he's moving, keep in mind, as he moves around the outside of the ring, he's not moving nearly as much as Alonzo is.
Exactly.
Alonzo might want to get that takedown back. Like anything in MMA, when you get punched, you want to punch. When you get kicked, you want to kick. And especially with the takedown, when you get brought to the ground, you want to put him on the ground as well.
10-second countdown.
Great round for both guys.
Great round, technical round. Both guys are starting to show a little wear and tear.
Back and forth battle there.
How do you guys have it scored? If you had to score it, and I'm glad I don't.
You know, that round was interesting because Brandon got the takedown. There wasn't a lot of strikes landed. But he wasn't really able to do a lot with it. You know, he advanced his position, but he wasn't able to put the damage he needed to do. With that said, though, anytime you get to dictate where the fight goes, in my opinion, in a round like that, you're going to get the points. So if Alonzo got the first, I'd say Brandon got the second. And, you know, that really makes this third round all or nothing.
But, you know, we talk about it all the time, Jay. You never know what the judges are looking for. You know, just because one guy scores him, you know, for significant strikes or things like that doesn't mean that the other guys are.
And interesting to see in that vein precisely, interesting to see what the judges thought of that last second takedown by Doyle in the first.
Oh, good point.
Michael Dolman's getting us started for the third round, letting everybody know what time it is, and here we go.
You know, both guys, I like the way they keep their hands up. You know, they keep it. Oh, big leg kick landed there. And then he grabbed the ankle to stand up, and he landed a big right hand. Alonzo came back with a solid uppercut. Now he's putting the pressure on. He wants it back.
Oh, beautiful slip.
Overcommitted, and now let's see if Brandon can finish this. Wow.
That escalated quickly.
It sure did. It sure did. Brandon's around the hips. Big lift. And now he really needs to hold this fight here. They both landed some hard shots. Alonzo just overcommitted as he chased, and Brandon was able to slide under.
That was
get that
beautifully
big double
done.
leg. You know, and that's the difference between an MMA fighter who learns wrestling and a high-level wrestler who learns MMA. The chain wrestling, the shot after shot with relentless pressure, not giving up if the first one fails and just continuing to shoot through, which is something we see here from Brandon Doyle.
And oftentimes you see, you know, the wrestlers in pro divisions and things like that, they're sometimes the more boring fighters, for lack of a better term. These guys,
these guys are working.
Yeah.
The amateur wrestlers seem to see a lot more takedowns, a lot more throws, and a lot more action after the fact too.
Yeah, well, you know, and credit to Alonzo because he's getting back up to the feet, man. I mean, he's got a big hematoma coming in on the right side of his face. You can see it here as the camera pans. I mean, he's getting a little dinged up with that side. So
Little mouse.
He's got to think about keeping that. A little mouse. That is a lot of swelling.
That's a New York City rat.
A
You know,
gigantic capybara.
He's got to keep that hand up. And if I'm Brandon Doyle, I'm going to be throwing my jab at that every time. You can't lead with the leg kicks. When you lead with the leg kicks, you get countered. And, you know, as Alonzo walks him down, that can't be your first. That can't be what you do first.
You know, it's funny, GoSports.com had our fan predictions up just a minute ago, and they had Dunkentell as a slight favorite. It's still too early to tell, I think.
Well, you know, Alonzo's doing a great job of constantly moving forward, but he didn't have the same success in striking as he did in the first round. If you're Brandon, you need to make this last minute count. You need to be on the forefront of the action. You need to land some shots to really steal this fight.
I know you don't like leading with the leg kick, but that one
that
one got a reaction.
But see, right there, you know, Alonzo hung in there, and he was looking for that left hook.
Yeah.
He wasn't able to time it, but he's got to be aware of it.
Good.
Big double leg. He needs this.
That eye is nasty.
And Brandon scoops it down. Now, this is interesting because he has Alonzo up against the cage, and this is how the fight will finish.
Yeah. And could very well be the difference
Time.
on the judges' scorecards.
And that's how the fight will end. A beautiful performance from both guys. You know, props to Brandon Doyle, who really came out there at the end with that pressure.
Absolutely. Entertaining, technical. And boy, that high-level wrestling, that is something else to deal with. Both fighters traded big shots.
Alonzo is going to be looking rough tomorrow.
See some big shots here landing from Alonzo.
Oh,
Yeah, I'd really like to see that shot that landed. I think it was that one
Yep.
right there, actually, as he stepped in. Yeah, landed right above the eye.
Yeah.
And then this was just that double. He drives through and then off the fence, rebounds and finishes.
that first, here's another one.
That was a beautiful takedown right into
Oh,
half
that
guard.
spin that you talked about earlier.
Sliding on that knee. I believe this is where he times it and he slips right under. Oh, that was that was a head kick on the same side that hurt.
On the same, yeah.
But, you know, one thing we saw in that replay, this is how the third round started. There was a big uppercut, but how Brandon got his way back to the feet was he hooked
Right
that
here.
leg.
Yep.
Exactly. And as Alonzo came forward, he timed that takedown beautifully.
That was the leg kick we saw late.
And this is how the fight ended.
Yeah, Doyle riding out the shots and then lifting.
An important takedown, an important test for both guys here.
Absolutely.
You know, they got a lot to be proud of. This was a great, high-level amateur fight for a couple guys who only have 2 fights. I'll tell you what, man, you know, the sport is changing.
Absolutely, and a heck of a good time for the fans. I believe Chris Fuller has some news for us.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of action, we go to the judges' scorecard for decision. Judge 1 scores about 29-28. Judges 2 and 3 scored about 30-27. All in favor of the winner by unanimous decision. Out of the blue corner, it's Brandon Doyle!
Yeah, I believe the right decision was made there. That was a great fight, and you know, Brandon did a great job of fighting through that first round and doing what he had to do.
Yeah, tough to argue with the decision. I mean, and that, gosh, those wrestling skills take
Very impressive.
take
very
Doyle
impressive.
a long way.
You know, the folks at Kaizen MMA, they just know how to prepare for these fights, and you know, hats off to them, man. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, that's a pretty significant coaching talent in that corner right now.